සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං උද්ධාප්තකාසති සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං ධම්මගතා සති සුප්පා බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං සංඝගතා සති සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං කායගතා සති සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච අහිංසාය රත්තෝ මනෝ සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච භාවනාය ගතෝ මනෝ සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං බුද්ධගතා සති සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං ධම්මගතා සති සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා ගෝතම ශාවකා යේසං දිවාච රත්තෝච නිච්ඡං සංඝගතා සති සුප්ප බුද්ධං පබුජ්ජන්ති සදා Subha buddham pabujjanti sada gotama savaka ye sandivacharasocha ahimsaya rato mano Subha buddham pabujjanti sada gotama savaka Nisandivacharasocha bhavanaya rato mano. Well awakened, the disciples of Gautama ever arise, they who by day and night always contemplate the Buddha. Divacha rattocha. Diva means daytime, rattocha means night time. Yesang divacha rattocha. Gautama Savaka. Gautama here means Buddha. His clan, Gautama, he belonged to Gautama. Sakya Gautama. So, very seldom we use the word Buddha. Either Sakya Muni or Gautama or Tathagata. Gautama Savaka. Savaka, the literary meaning, listeners. Savaka, disciples. Because those days there were no books for them to read. Everything they learn after listening. Therefore, the disciples are known as Savaka, listeners. Savaka Sangho, the Sangha who listen to the Buddha, the word of the Buddha. But today, in the modern society, those days we say Bahusutta, one who heard a lot. Bahusutta, that means learned. One who heard a lot, learned. But modern society, we say well read. We never say well heard, because books are available. Well read man. This is a well read man. That means learned, the language. So Gautama Savaka means the disciples of the Buddha who listened, who learned from the Buddha after listening, paying attention. So what happened? Those who think of the Buddha, they can sleep well and they can get up very easily. They don't feel tiredness, they don't feel difficulty of sleeping. So take the Buddha as an object into the mind and recall the Buddha. Then what happened? The fear that you had in your mind disappeared. Insecurity feeling that you had also disappeared. And certain worries and tension also reduce. Suspicion also reduce. Then you feel that you are secure. You are protected. So when you develop that confidence in your mind, you can sleep very easily. The difficulty of sleeping we experience because we stir the mind by thinking, by worrying, creating imaginations and planning, because we have so many things to plan, to think how to do, what to do, how to avoid, how to keep away. Because whole life is full of problems. Within one day, how many problems are there for you to face, physically and mentally? But we can avoid many of these problems and worries and suspicion and fear when we recall or when you remember the Buddha. Then you can calm the mind. Then brain cells, neurons in the brain also calm. Then nervous system in the body. Then the glands, the whole system normalize the function. So, when you go on thinking and thinking and thinking, we stir the mind, then difficulty, cannot sleep. After sleeping, when we get up, also we feel very tired. Because the organs were not functioning in normal way. Had to struggle. Now we can understand those who have weak heart, when they sleep, the heart had to struggle and heartbeat increase. That is why doctors advise not to take heavy meal at night, those who have weak heart, because many people die while sleeping. So, the advice given here for us to sleep well and to get up without any difficulty, if we recall the Buddha in another discourse, the Buddha has said, Bhayang va chambitattang va lomahang sova. Every time whenever you get some sort of bhaya or fear or tension and insecurity feeling, suspicion, think of the Buddha at that time. That is what the followers of other religions also do. They remember the God. Whether God exists or not, it is immaterial. And it is not necessary for you to think Buddha is no longer here. The Buddha never died. Physical body died. The Buddha never died. The Buddha cannot die. We recall the Buddha, not the physical body. So, then you gain a lot of confidence, some sort of calmness, and can sleep. You can practice tonight when you go home and sleep, without thinking all sort of rubbish. But when you think of the Buddha, you must know who the Buddha is. That is why you recite every time, Arahang Samma Sambuddho, Vijjacharana Sampanno, Sugato, Lokavidu, Anuttaro, Purisa Dhamma Sarati, Sattha Deva Manussanang, Buddho. 9 virtues or characteristics of the Buddha mentioned here. So, we do not pay respect, we do not worship, we do not remember the Buddha, thinking that the Buddha is a great man. No. We remember the Buddha. We respect the Buddha in appreciations of his highest achievement, enlightenment. We appreciate, then we respect, we honor, we bow down. And we respect his sacredness, holiness, and perfection. We respect. We respect and appreciate his supreme wisdom, because his wisdom is not like ordinary human wisdom. That is why it is called enlightenment. Many people who have wisdom never experienced, never gained enlightenment, because no one can gain enlightenment until the mind is completely purified. It is not the knowledge, the purifications of the mind. Because the mind is deluded, clouded with so many misconceptions, belief, and fear and worry, anxieties, craving, attachment. So all these are dark clouds. As long as these dark clouds prevail, move around the mind, the brightness of the enlightenment never appears. Because many people cannot understand how the Buddha gained enlightenment. Because they believe there must be some sort of divine inspiration, guidance. This is the common belief. The Buddha rejected this belief. How did he reject? After gaining enlightenment, when there were 60 Arahants who have attained the perfection, he said, Muttohang sabba pasehi ye dibbaye cha manusa. Tummehi mutta pasehi ye dibbaye cha manusa. Now I am completely free from all the bondages, fetters, either divine or human. Ye dibba, ye chamans. No divine bondages, no human bondages. Completely free. And here you can understand. The Buddha has no connection with divinity or divine inspiration. He says, I have cut off all the bondages. Divine bondages and human bondages, worldly. Then, Tumhe Mutta Pasehi. Then he addressed all the 60 Arahants. You are also free from divine bondages and human bondages. Many people cannot understand these things. Because of that purity, complete purity, then the purity he developed by practicing two methods, life after life. By avoiding, keeping away all the evil thoughts, bad thoughts. Without developing, increasing evil thought, he went on reducing life after life. Because no one can do within one lifetime. Now you can understand. Let us take simple weakness. Our jealousy. Can we reduce this jealousy within this lifetime? Impossible. That is intrinsic. It is natural. Now you can understand how difficult it is for us to get rid of our jealousy, our craving, our selfishness, our anger. It's very difficult. So that is why it has taken such a long period for him to work and work and work to reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce. So we are also trying to do this. Otherwise, no religious way of life. Not only by reducing evil, wicked, harmful things, by cultivating all the good qualities. One side he went on reducing all the bad deeds. The other side he went on increasing all the good qualities, such as his kindness, his compassion, his sympathy, and his honesty, and his patience, and tolerance, and harmony, understanding. All these are great virtues, great qualities. We have only lesser degrees in our mind. These good qualities, lesser degree, but the bad qualities, more than good qualities. We have more jealousy, more anger, more selfishness than kindness, compassion, and honesty. And in the case of the Buddha, he went on reducing all the bad deeds, thoughts, increasing all the good thoughts and virtues. Then purity. Otherwise, purity never takes place in the mind. Wisdom never. Now, in the case of Arahantas, there is difference. We introduce them as perfect or holy, saint or Arahant. That means their minds are completely pure. And they cannot do any harm to anybody, impossible, because the minds are pure. But their wisdom differ. Different Arahantas maintain different kinds of wisdom by depending on what sort of method, what sort of meditation that they have practiced during their previous birth, life after life, to attain this Arahanta. Many Arahantas have no supreme wisdom, only purity, perfection. But some others have supreme knowledge and wisdom just because they have developed their mind through their meditation during previous birth. So Arahantas did not. But in the case of the Buddha, he possessed all the purity and good qualities and the virtues and the wisdom and enlightenment. This is the way how to think of the Buddha. Then we gain more confidence. Such a virtuous, such a pure, such a noble, enlightened religious teacher. to avoid our problems, our weaknesses. Because of weaknesses we develop fear. So here it is mentioned, Vivacha Rathoja. Day and night we can lead a peaceful life if we recall the Buddha into our mind. First line. Then the second line says, Suppabuddhang pabujjanti sada gotama savaka esam divata rachocha esam dhamma gataha. Those who can remember, those who can understand the Dhamma taught by the Buddha. Because the Dhamma is for our protection. Dhammo have rakkati dhammachari. Those who follow or live in accordance the Dhamma, that Dhamma protects them. Just like God. Those who believe in God, they say if you believe in God, God will protect. Here we can apply the Dhamma that we appreciate, try to follow. Later, that Dharma becomes a very strong force to protect us, to get rid of our fear and worries and disturbances and calamities. Now what is Dhamma? For religion, that is the word used by the Buddha, not religion. After gaining his enlightenment, he said like this, Pātu rahosi magadhesu kubbe dhammo asuddho samalehi chim. He said, this dharma that I understood is not a new dharma, not a new discovery. Pāturahosi magadhesu kubbe. This dharma existed long ago. But what happened? People's mind, people's way of thinking polluted the purity of the Dhamma, and they have misinterpreted this Dharma. That is why the Buddhas will appear from time to time to recall, to introduce the Dhamma that which disappeared from the human mind. Now let us take the way how we practice this religion, the way how we introduce the teachings of the Buddha as the Dhamma. Then we can understand how far we have polluted, how far we have misinterpreted, how far we have distorted the basic teachings of the Buddha. There are thousands of volumes, various aspects of the Dhamma, Buddhism, and the way how they preach the Dhamma. When you listen, you can understand they have gone far away from the basic teachings. given entirely different interpretation. That is why from time to time, different schools of Buddhism come into existence. In different countries, they interpret in different ways. Later, they incorporate their own traditions, their own customs, their own culture, their own way of life into religion. So, Buddhism is a mixture of so many traditions, customs and beliefs. That is why we differ. We say Chinese Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, Korean Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Sri Lankan Buddhism, Thai Buddhism, Burmese Buddhism, Indian Buddhism, Western Buddhism, modern Buddhism, Western Buddhism. Not American. Not American, Western. Then we can understand. Refer to the basic teachings which were recorded, written 80 years before Jesus Christ. That means 500 years after the Buddha. At that time, his works were done by the Arhantas, not by ordinary monks like us. Because we have a lot of wrong impressions, wrong interpretation, wrong ideas, wrong concepts about the teaching of the Buddha. Our minds are still not very pure. But Arhantas' minds are 100% clear. So they have no difficulty to maintain the teachings of the Buddha without distorting. Because there is no reason for them to distort. They have no selfish ideas. They have no idea of gaining anything from the public. They are not crazy for their names or fames or publicity. Because they are genuine, holy. So they have recorded. So these teachings still remain. But when we read these teachings and compare with the modern Buddhism that people practice in various countries, can see the differences. But they try to glorify that their method is the true, a genuine religion. But you are innocent. You listen to them. And you believe what they talk, what they write. Now this is the problem. So the Dhamma, what is Dhamma actually? Taught by the Buddha. It is not a law given by the God, given by the Buddha, or given by anybody. No one can create the Dhamma. No one can destroy the Dhamma. When we forget the Dhamma, we say, no more, Dharma is no more. But Dharma exists. But we cannot remember, we cannot understand. Now let us take electricity. How many years ago that people have discovered electricity? It is not a new production. Electricity existed in this universe from the very beginning. But nobody knew about it. Only say 100 or 200 say maximum, I don't know how many hundred, 200, say 200 years ago. They discovered electricity. Gravity. Gravity existed from the very beginning. But until Isaac Newton discovered that there is something people never knew. Evolution. Charles Darwin discovered, but it is not a new discovery. In the Buddha's teaching, it is very clearly mentioned. Everything is going on changing. Existence takes place because of these changes. That is evolution. By taking different shape, different forms, different color, but there is continuity, link, connection is there. This is evolution. All these things are dharma. That means the things that exist, function naturally, not handled by God or Buddha or anybody. That is called dharma. Dharma is not handled, controlled by anybody in this universe. And no one can change the Dhamma. We misinterpret, but we cannot change the Dhamma according to our own satisfaction, our need. When Dharma is not in our favor, we are not ready to accept it. Simple example. To the Christians, why we suffer? The Buddha has given the answer, the Dharma. But we are not happy with that answer. The Buddha says, the main cause of all our sufferings, nothing but our own craving. You can understand this the very day when you completely withdraw your craving. What sort of happiness, what sort of bliss, what sort of relief you experience. As long as you maintain this craving, you never gain satisfaction, happiness in your life. Never. You get little bit of emotional satisfaction. It is not happiness. Happiness we never experience by keeping fear, anger, jealousy, enmity in our mind. Happiness cannot appear. Happiness appears in our mind when those evil forces are no more there. That is called happiness. The thing that we experience as happiness is not happiness, that is emotional satisfaction. They appear, immediately disappear. After that, we go crazy because we want to get back. If we cannot get back, then we worry. Then we fight. The trouble starts from there. Then, why we are not happy? Although we have everything, more than enough thing in this world. I ask this question on many occasions. Why we are not happy? People are working to earn, to gain, to enjoy. They have more than enough things to enjoy. But they are not happy. What is the secret? I gave the answer some time ago. I think you have forgotten. What is the answer? The trouble, that is why I asked, for the last 30 years, what do you have learned? I have been shouting for 30 years like this. So I want to know what you have learned so far. My dear friend, we have no contentment. If there is contentment, we never experience that problem. I told you, if there is contentment, jealousy never appear in that mind. Anger never appear. Discrimination, hostility, never. No violence. Because of contentment. That is what the Buddha wanted to teach us. If you want to be happy, you must have contentment. These are the things we have to learn as the Dhamma. As religions, we are doing a lot of things. Perform so many things, spend so much money, but Dharma is not there. In your activity, Dharma is not there. You organize all sorts of functions, ceremonies and festivals. In the end, fighting, quarreling, arguing, jealousy, anger, that is the outcome. Then where is the Dhamma? We experience this every time whenever we have a big function, ceremonies, and all sorts of criticism, accusation, blames and discrimination. They grasp only that much, not the Dharma. Grumbling, accusing, blaming. If they follow the Dhamma, it is impossible for them to bring forward all the rubbish. They are not working for the Dhamma. We have to learn. For what purpose are we working here? Why do we waste our time? To cultivate our understanding, our patience, our harmony, our tolerance, our knowledge. If these qualities are not there, you are wasting your time actually by attending all these religious services, functions and this and that. We cannot measure the development of religious way of life by comparing with huge building, large crowd, churches, temples, mosques and places of worship, but their mind, you can see jealousy, anger, grudge, ill will, discrimination, all these things are boiling in their mind. Then where is religion? Where is Dhamma? What is the use of that prayer or worshipping or offerings or this and that? The main purpose, that is why here the Buddha say, whenever you have some problems and worries and difficulties, remember the Dhamma. Then what is Dhamma? All these natural occurrences that take place that we have to harmonize. We have to cooperate. That is the meaning of following the Dhamma. Electricity. We deal with electricity. It is useful. But we must know the technique, how to handle it. Otherwise, we get into trouble. Dharma also, just like this electricity. Electricity has no kindness, no cruelty. Neutral. Dharma also, no kindness, no cruelty, natural. If you violate the Dharma, then you have it. By praying and worshipping and offering, you cannot change. Electricity also, by misusing, handling wrongly, when you had the electric shock, praying and worshipping and offering, you cannot do anything. Your duty is to harmonize, know how to handle. So if you want to follow the Dhamma, religion, then you must know how to adjust, how to mold your way of life to follow the Dhamma without violating. Then Dhamma will protect you. Always protect. Here the Buddha says, Suppa buddhang pabujjanti sada gotama savaka yesang divataraccota sada dhamma. Remember the Dhamma? That means that whether the Buddha exists or not, the Dharma exists. But people cannot understand because they have no enlightenment. So the Buddhas will appear from time to time for this purpose. After gaining that enlightenment, he explained the Dhamma. Still we can understand. Still we can appreciate. Although we have our own weaknesses. Then the next one. Suppa buddhang pabujjanti sada gotama savaka esam divata rattocha da ityang sangha gata. Sangha. Sangha means the community of holy order. Not individual monks. When you pay homage to the Sangha, you do not respect one particular man who wears this yellow robe. Every time when you pay respect, you are paying respect to the Sangha community, not to that person, that man who is wearing this robe. Then you have to recall, you have to remember, what are the qualities, the virtues, duties of the Sangha. Then you recite, Supatipanno, Bhagavato, Sāvaka Sangho, Ujupatipanno, Nyāyapatipanno, all these good qualities in simple language. It is mentioned in the Buddha's teaching. Sangha community who have renounced their worldly bondages, commitment to lead a peaceful, harmless life. Then Sangha are harmless people. They don't harm others. Then you develop your confidence. They are harmless. When I came here, as I mentioned this evening, 1952, very few Chinese occasionally visit this temple. Then I go there to sprinkle some holy water. This also I learned from Penang, because I landed in Penang before my coming here. So when I go there to sprinkle holy water, because they are scared of us. They think we are doing some charm, black magic, and all sorts of. They have heard. The monks are charm peddlers. They are doing this business. Even today there are. So they are scared of monks, because they do not know anything about the monks. But it has taken 1 or 2 years to train these people to develop that confidence. Now what will happen? When they come, if there are no monks, they wait 1 or 2 hours here for a monk to get a blessing from a monk. How far they have developed that confidence. So, not only Buddhist. I have visited communist countries, Christian countries, Muslim countries, Hindu countries, many parts of the world. Wherever I went, I can remember how people respect, how they welcome. Because the common belief is these people are harmless people. They are not cruel, they are not cunning, they are not wicked, they do not cheat and bluff and swindle, and they are free from all the bad things. The whole mankind, irrespective of their religion, respect. Because these are common humane qualities, virtues. So these people maintain this good quality, then they respect. So when we develop this confidence in the Sangha community, you get a lot of security. Whenever you have problems and troubles and disturbances and fear, straight away you come to the Sangha, asking their advice, asking their blessings. After that you gain a lot of relief. That is what the Buddha says here. Remember them. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. 3, triple gem. We can introduce in this way. The Buddha is just like a doctor who can diagnose the sicknesses, the cause of sicknesses. After that, he prescribes medicine. That medicine is just like Dhamma. So your duty is to take that medicine given by the doctor. Whether the doctor is here or not, that is immaterial. If the medicine is available, if the medicine is effective, your duty is to take the medicine. That is Dhamma. Then you follow the Dhamma. Sangha, just like hospital nurses who attend to you, give proper time, your medicines, your food, and advise what to eat, what not to eat, and all the necessary instructions, guidance, those nurses. So the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, just like doctor, the medicines, and the nurses. You have to develop your confidence. They may have their different ways of life. There may be certain things that you cannot agree. They depend on human weaknesses. These weaknesses remain until they attain that higher stage of sainthood or arahant. So the Sangha community divided Sāvaka Sangha and Arya Sangha, Sammuti Sangha, 3 groups. Sāvaka Sangha, the Sangha community who try to learn, to train, develop themselves all day and night, but not yet attain higher stage. They are Sāvaka Sangha, on the way. Sammuti Sangha, recognized by the public that these are the monks, ordained, qualified, full-fledged monks who perform religious duties and who support the people to lead the religious way of life. They have dedicated their life to serve others while cultivating their own way of religious life. They are called Sammuti Sangha, but not yet attain any of those higher stage of sainthood. Then the other group is called Arya Sangha. Arya means noble. They are the Arahantas. Arahantas are Arya Sangha, who have ended their journey in the samsara, stopped, then attain Nirvana. So they divided into 3. Today you are associating with Sammuti Sangha, ordained, recognized by the government, by the public, and by knowing that these Sangha, these monks, can do some service to us, because we have a lot of commitment and responsibilities and worries and disturbances, but the monks are free from many of these problems. Therefore they have time to devote, to think, and with pure heart, pure mind, without even expecting anything in return from the devotees or the members, with kindness, with compassion, they do something for you, then it will become the blessing. When we do something with pure heart, it will become blessings. That is what the Buddha says. Think of them. Whenever you have some problems, as your guardians, then what is the page now? I mix up. What is the page number? 237, yes. Next one. Suppabuddhang pabujyanti sada gotama savaka. Yesang divacha rattocha niccang kayagata sati. Now we have come to another place. Kayagata sati is a method for contemplation, meditation, concentration. Kaya means body. Kayagata sati means concentrate things very deeply by analyzing what this body is, whether my body or your body. When we realize what this body is, then reduce lot of craving, attachment, crazy attitude, and adapting wrong method to maintain this body. People commit lot of bad, evil, cruel, dangerous things just to support this body. But when we realize what this body is, we have no heart to do such bad thing, knowing this is impermanent, this is changeable, it exists for a few years, after that collapse and disintegrate, going back to their element, and life goes away. Then what are the things here we take as so beautiful, very useful? We are willing to spend millions of dollars to protect this. It is mentioned, dhanang chajeyo pana anga hetu. People are willing to spend any amount of money to save either legs or hands, arms. Doctors say we have to amputate. Then they ask, is there any method? Yes, if you can spend $1 million, I try to save your leg. Willing to spend 1 million for the sake of one leg. So how much we like this? After a few years' time, doctor again come and tell you, I'm sorry, now I cannot do anything. To protect your life, to save your life, I have to amputate your leg. Now he is willing to sacrifice the limb or the leg for the sake of the life, for the body. But angang dhanang jivitang chapi saggam chaje naro dhamma manusara. Great people, understanding people are willing to sacrifice their wealth, their limbs, and their whole life for the sake of their principle. them principle or the dharma means principle, is more important than their wealth, than their body. Because Dhamma is everlasting. This body remains for few years, disintegrate, nothing. This body we cannot carry. The Dharma that we uphold, you can carry. Life after life, you can carry. Principle. That is why we worship, we respect those great people who had to sacrifice their life to uphold their principle or their dharma. Jesus, Socrates, Mahatma Gandhi, the Buddha, of course, so many people tried to kill him, no one could do that. People respect them because of their good qualities. Life is nothing to them. They never agreed to break their principle, their dharma. So, if we break our dharma, if we break our principle, just to protect our body, we are not wise people. Now the Buddha, during his previous birth, so many previous births, when he was working very hard to gain his enlightenment, he agreed to sacrifice his life, but not to break dharma or the principle. Never. Because the principle is more important. Principle never dies. There's another saying of the Buddha. Rupang jirati maccanang nama gottang na jirati. Rupa, this physical body. Jirati, decay and disappear. Nama gottang na jirati. But that person's name never decay, never die. The Buddha died more than 2,539 years ago. Jesus died nearly 2,000 years ago. Forever, people remember their name. Why? They work for their principle, not for their body. We have to understand this. Amount of money they were wasting, spending to maintain this. How long can we carry on? In the end, this body itself becomes a real nuisance to all of us. Then after that we do not know what to do with this. Become nuisance. But the principles or the dharma that we upheld at that time gives confidence for us. When the body is weak, when we suffer from all sorts of problems, but when we think of our principle or the dharma, that gives a lot of confidence to forget our pains and ache and sufferings also. So we can die peacefully, without fear, without worrying. With confidence we can die because of the dharma. But not by thinking amount of money that you spend for your body. Now you can understand why the Buddha advised us to think, to concentrate, to analyze what this body is. Formation consists of what? The four elements, different shape. As long as the binding factors remains in the body, can run here and there. When these things are getting weaker and weaker and weaker, then disintegrate, separate, finish. That is dharma. No one can break this dharma. No one can stop this dharma. We can pray to any god, asking whether the god can stop this. Then the next one. Suppabuddhang pabujjanti sadagotama savaka esandiva tarattocha nityang. What is the next one? Ahinsaya ratto man. Ahinsaya ratto man. Mana means mind. Ahimsa means non-violence. If there is the feeling of non-violence, that means kindness. Kindness, sympathy. That is non-violence. That we do not agree to violate any living being. Killing means we violate the universal law. We separate the life from the body by force. That is called killing. No one can justify that it is correct. That is violation of the universal law. Every living being comes into existence with craving for existence. So we take away this life by force. That is called killing. It is violation. We violate the universal law. Then the effect, the reaction, you cannot stop by doing anything because we have violated the existing. So ahimsa, non-violence, karuna, kindness, compassion, all the good qualities, when you develop in your mind, then no place for anger, no place for cruelty, no place for enmity, no place for harming others. Such ideas never appear in that mind. Then the mind is free. Ahimsa means that. Hinsa means harming. Ahimsa means not to harm. So we determine through understanding not to harm other living beings because we can understand. We violate the existing universal law. At the same time we create sufferings, fear, worries, pains, how many things we create. But when you observe this non-violence, we support all the other living beings to live peacefully, without fear. Because they are scared of us. Why do they attack us? Scared of us. Even elephants in the jungle, why do that elephant want to attack? To eat? Scared of us. Because we are very cruel, very wicked. Why snake attack us? They think we are going to harm them. And birds. Birds go and sit on the back of cows and goats, horses, elephants, all the other animals. You can see how they enjoy, all the birds. How many birds come and sit on our head? Because they don't trust us. They are scared of us. So to develop this kindness, to create that confidence in their mind, take long period. We have to associate with those animals and the birds to wipe out the fear that they have by showing kindness, kindness, kindness and harmony. Then slowly they come. Even then they run with you. But still they cannot trust. Human beings are like that. So, most difficult thing to cultivate, ahimsa, not to harm others, any living being, whether big or small. Because every living being exists in this world to contribute something to maintain this environment and this world. Otherwise they never appear. We do not know. We cannot understand. A plant never appears on this earth if there is no food value or medicinal value. But we do not know. Now slowly they discover. More and more new medicines come. Herbs in the jungles here. Every plant, every grass. When I was in India, I remember I had some stomach problems. An Ayurvedic doctor asked me to take the juice of the grass roots, take out the grass and cut the roots and make what you call, take the juice and mix up with the powder and this. Cured my stomach. Ordinary grass. So that's why I told you, plants never appear if there is no food value or medicine value. Living beings never appear, even mosquito or worms never appear if there is nothing for them to do for this world. To us, real nuisance. But we never think we are nuisance to all of them. We always grumble about mosquitoes. We are nuisance to everybody. So, we had to cultivate this understanding. Of course, slowly, not at once. The maturity, the knowledge, understanding develop, then more and more good things. That is the way how the Buddha also increased and developed life after life. Next one, last one. Suppabuddham pabujyanti sadagotam saraka esam vivacha rattocha nityang bhavanaya ratto mano. Our reverend here. Cultivate, introduce, train how to develop this bhavana. But his technique is non-violence or metta and meditation. To cultivate the mind, to take out all the germs from your mind. All the evil forces are germs. They affect. You know, all the germs that exist, germs, virus, bacteria exist in our body, also die after our death. They can survive. Even after burial or cremation, no germs, no bacteria. But the germs that we maintain in our mind never die when we die. Remember this. Follow with us. Our anger, our grudge, our ill will, our selfishness, all these are germs. All these germs join with us. And the next life again starts. So the meditation, especially the metta bhavana, to remove those germs from the mind, to cleanse the mind. Here the Buddha says, you can sleep well, you can get up easily, and your faces, when you get up early morning, of course, now when you get up early morning, go to the mirror and see, your face look very funny, Not very happy. But the birds, sometimes they get up 5, 6 early morning. For what purpose, I cannot understand. Start singing and come down and dance and jump here and there because they follow the nature. If we follow the Dhamma, exactly like those living beings who follow the nature. Then we can lead a peaceful, happy life. We have violated the nature, and say we try to follow the Dhamma, we violate the Dhamma also. Here, you can understand this saying of the Buddha is very important for us to concentrate, to understand how to adjust our mind without allowing this mind to go on thinking and all sorts of rubbish and imaginations, all the rubbish. Fix your mind. Concentrate on the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, and think of the body and non-violence and metta, calmness. Maintain calmness in your mind. Then your health also improves. When the mind is polluted, that polluted mind creates enormous sicknesses. More than 75% of our sicknesses created by our own mind. The mind is healthy, we can avoid many of those sicknesses. Especially nowadays, gastric trouble, gastric ulcer, and so many problems, all due to polluted mind. Tension, anxieties, and competition, fear, worries, damage the whole system. Then after a few years, turn into some sickness. So if you concentrate more on this, we can lead a healthy life, we can have a healthy mind, and we prepare for the future life also. Yes, I think enough. Okay, sharing of merit. Imina punya kammena upajjaya gunuttara acari upakaraca mata pita piyamamam suriyo candi maharaja gunavanta narapica brahma maharaja indaca lokapalaca devata yamo mitta manusaca majjhatta virikapica sabbe satta sukhi hontu punyani pakatani me jadi vidantentu ippang papeta homatam imina punya kammena imina uddisena ca ippang sulabe seva tanno padana cedanam ye santani na dhamma yava nibbana tu mamam nasantu sabbata eva yatta jato bhave bhave uju citto sattipanyo salle ko viriya Mara lambantu no kasam katunca viriyesu me buddha di pavaro nato dhammo nato aruttamo nato pacceta sambuddho